Amanda Gabehart is a familiar face around the city of Campbellsville. She is the cheerleading head coach and the head coach of the dance team. Gabehart's cheer and dance experience began in 2003 when she coached local teams, including all-star teams at Elite Athletics in Campbellsville.
My first coaching job was directly out of high school. My former high school coach started some tumbling classes here locally. She asked myself and a couple other cheerleaders to help her run those classes. About a year after running tumbling classes, she actually purchased a portion of a local gym here that had already established an all-star program with, I think, 4 different squads at the time. So once she bought into that gym, I just kind of carried over my employment and started there. And then I started out as an assistant coach for 1 year and then turned head coach the following year.
You learn a lot from your first job. This would be a stepping stone to where she is today.
Just walking into programs that were already established made it a lot easier transitioning in. And when you already have coaches that are ahead of you and more established and experienced, you know, they become mentors for you and you kind of just follow their lead, especially if you're just running classes and as assistant. So I was kind of learning on the job as I went. But it was the perfect setup for myself and a few of the other workers there because we cheered here at CU together. And then also between practices and games and classes here, we would help run the squads and the tumbling classes there.
When you receive the title of head coach, sometimes you look to switch some things up.
Probably not initially, but after the years passed and I took over as head coach of the Junior All-Star program, of course I basically established the entire thing myself from beginning of the season to the end of the season, the practice schedules, the competitions, choreography. Back then we did a lot of the choreography ourselves, so it was a really good experience, especially at that point in my life. So cheer at that point was just everything that I did.
Gabehart spent time as a student athlete and still managed to coach locally.
It was hard, but to be honest, working at the gym and even cheering here, it didn't feel like a job because I loved it so much, and also that I was doing it with people that I enjoy doing things with already. There was just a group of us, we worked together, you know, we studied together, we were there to support each other, so I think that made a huge difference. And we were just all in it together, busy schedules. You know, I was a little younger back then, so full of energy.
Coach talks about the recruiting process and how she became a Lady Tiger.
Back then, the recruiting process was a basic tryout. There were a couple of girls that I had cheered with in high school that I was also already teaching tumbling classes with that were here at CU. They cheered a year before me and they kind of talked me into trying out. And at the time, I hadn't even started classes at CU. I didn't come to CU directly out of high school. I kind of worked for a period of time, and then that following year, and a lot of it was because of cheer. I wanted to be on the cheer team with my friends. So then basically I enrolled in classes. So a lot of the reason why I'm here is because of the program itself. So we just had a basic tryout. I came from a very strong background in high school. We were very competitive. So making the team wasn't difficult for me.
There's a lot to know about a cheerleading squad. The atmosphere of the team can tell you a lot.
The atmosphere was great. I already knew several of the girls that was on the team from high school or other local kids. I think we had a team of 14, which is not huge, it's not too small. The program had been growing. I do remember a couple years prior to me being here, I think the roster size was about 8 cheerleaders. So we were definitely beginning to develop as a program. And then my second year cheering here is when Coach Vanessa Atkins took over. And that year we were all returners. I think maybe 1 or 2 new freshmen coming in, but we had already developed ourselves.
When joining a new team, you have to work and develop trust among others.
So we were already a little developed and established. We had already created bonds between the two of us. We had good work ethic. Mostly all of us came from very solid programs from high school. And so when she took over, between the structure that she provided and then her coaching and cheer experience, it just worked out well. So we were able to capture the title of MidSouth Conference champions that second year.
While competing at Campbellsville, Gabehart was a member of the 2007 MidSouth Conference Championship program and cheered for a total of 2 seasons.
I think it was. I think a lot of athletes look for programs that are already established, and just having that title, I know because I'm from Campbellsville, you know, and I continue to watch athletics and watch the cheerleaders. I was still here as a student, and I did watch Vanessa recruit even more talented girls. The next couple of years, several other girls that had cheered from Taylor County ended up cheering for her, and I think they won several within the next few years also.
Vanessa Atkins received MidSouth Conference Coach of the Year in 2007.
Yeah, Vanessa was a really good coach. We were blessed to have her that year. Unfortunately, the coach that had previously been here wasn't able to continue with us, and then, you know, Vanessa's husband was the basketball coach, so it was kind of perfect for her to just step in. She was already here half the time, and then with her experience, she was able to lead us to that championship.
After graduating, the cheer and dance experience kept coming in bunches.
Honestly, from that point on, of coaching that squad, I continued to work with other teams. For 3 or 4 years, I was the assistant coach at Taylor County Middle School for those cheerleaders. And honestly, at that point, I had some of the kids from my youth program then at the middle school, and then honestly, just working at the local gym and teaching classes, I continued to work with them even through high school, and honestly saw several of them end up here at CU cheering for Vanessa.
In 2017, Gabehart started the dance program at Taylor County Middle School and still continues to serve in that role.
That position I really wasn't looking for. My niece was a 5th grader going into 6th grade that year. And there had been an elementary dance team, but they hadn't had a middle school program for a really long time. So honestly, I was waiting around for someone to take over the program to establish it. And they didn't, so then I established it myself, and that was mainly for her, so that her and her friends in that age group could continue to dance, because there was a high school program, elementary program, but there wasn't anything at the middle school.
When starting a program at any level, it can get complex with time.
Actually, the athletic director had been looking for a coach to begin that program. And so I was a part-time sub at the school at that point, so he approached me with the position. And to be honest, at that time, I didn't have a whole lot of extra energy or time with everything else going on to begin the program, but I felt like if I didn't do it, then nobody else was going to. So I did take over that program. It wasn't very difficult. Just because I was used to beginning programs, I was used to coaching kids. I love the middle school age group. Several of the kids I already knew, several of the parents. It's a very small community.
You take and make the most out of every opportunity you get.
To be honest, just having that role as the middle school dance coach, I think that is what triggered Coach Hardy to develop a full-time position for me. I was a part-time cheer coach here. And then I actually sent him my resume because I was maybe looking for something full-time here at CU. And basically, as soon as he received my resume and he saw that I had coaching experience for cheer and dance, he called me in for a meeting. We discussed going full-time and establishing the dance program here. So it worked out really well.
Amanda Gabehart, a 2007 Campbellsville alum, was named the head coach for cheerleading and dance on January 1st, 2019, as she was promoted from her assistant role for the cheer team.
To be honest, it was a dream come true. I was kind of in the middle of career change to begin with, and then this just kind of fell into my lap. When I started out as the assistant cheer coach, I really had no idea that it would turn into a full-time position, especially so quickly. So it was just a dream come true for me, especially with the experience. Coaching has just always been something that I've done like part-time on the side, especially like middle school, high school level. You have your part-time coaches, and you can only invest so much when you have a full-time job, but being able to really invest into this program and being full-time, being on campus, has been pretty amazing.
When applying for the cheer head coaching position, she was confident.
I was very confident. When I came in as the assistant coach, the prior coach, Susan Blevins, I actually had her as a middle school teacher. She used to coach at Taylor County High School, maybe the middle school too, I'm not sure. But she basically remembered me as a student, and like I said, I worked at the local gym here for years and years. And so everyone in the community kind of just knows me of coaching cheer or coaching dance. So she offered me the part-time job. Every
sports recruit different. There are a lot of things to look for when recruiting a cheerleader.
Part of my job, well, I can't say a lot of my job is actually recruiting new athletes. We're always looking for new skilled, talented athletes, and then also kids that are not only good on the cheer mat or the sideline, but they do well in the classroom, because all of our kids, they have to be eligible through their academics. They have to pass a certain number of classes per semester and keep a certain GPA. So those are all of the things that I'm looking for, especially in the recruiting process.
After taking over cheer in 2019, Gabehart led the Tigers to a 4th place finish at the MidSouth Conference Championships after CU scored 68.7 points in the team competition.
The goal is always to continue to develop from start to finish of the season. 2018, when I came in, we had a pretty solid team. The 4th place finish, in my opinion, should have been a 3rd. There was a building fall in one of our pyramids that never happened. It was the least of my concern of the entire routine. There was just a little slip on the mat, and so we finished in 4th, but very close to finishing in 3rd. And then last year, we had several seniors last year. A couple of guys, it's always helpful when we have guys on the team. One of the guys, Randall Parmley, he had been around for a while. Everybody loves Randall. Very strong back spot, very talented, good cheerleader. Some of my juniors and seniors, they kind of develop the culture on the team. A lot of times, there's only so much that I can do as a coach, but they do a lot of things outside of practice that help them to develop as a group together. So honestly, the last couple of years, all of the team was very, very close on the mats and outside of practice. So the development a lot of times is out of my hands. It's kind of what they do on their own. But of course, I try to lead and guide as much as I possibly can.
Starting programs is nothing new to Gabehart. She has been building up programs for a while.
I was extremely excited. I felt very blessed and privileged to be able to say that I was the first dance coach here at Campbell's University. You know, this is my hometown. I've always coached. Most of my experience is coaching cheer. I was a dancer at elementary school and in middle school before I turned cheerleader, so I did have dance experience. And then, of course, I had started the program at Taylor County Middle School. Excitement, you're gonna have to scratch that. Being excited, I think, is an understatement. I remember our very first performance of that year. And starting the program was difficult just to fill the team, fill the roster. And then we had challenges of kind of getting everybody on the same page and being able to learn a routine and perform a routine that was going to look good for the halftime show, and especially for our home football games because we have a ton of fans. And then, of course, it was the first game for all of my cheerleaders, so it was very exciting, a little stressful. Last year, I had a quote that I used just for the team, and it was actually part of the music that was in one of our routines, the Just Breathe song. I don't really know who sings it, but that was just kind of the quote of the year for all of the girls, because some of them had never performed halftime. I had, I know one of my girls had just done studio dance. I think she did a lot of solos. She had competed before, but halftime show versus a competition or studio dancing sometimes can be different. So we all had to step outside of our comfort zone just a little bit, especially them. So the theme of the entire year last year for dance was Just Breathe.
Dancing is different because there are so many types. Meshing these dancers with different backgrounds could be challenging.
Honestly, we just do the best that we can. So far, the girls that we've had on the team have worked really, really well together. Like I said, I do have a couple of studio dancers There's a lot of girls will have dance and cheer experience. One of my stronger dancers, she actually cheered a couple of years. She was a flag girl in high school, no studio experience, super flexible, very coordinated. So we just do the best we can. A lot of times at practice, I have them group up and help one another with the choreography. It does get a little complex sometimes, and there's so many moving parts for performances. So they work really well together. So we just do the best that we can, but so far it's gone really well.
Who would have ever thought it? Campbellsville starts up a program, and in the same year, they bring home the Mid-South Conference title.
Last year was the very first year that they opened up dance for the Mid-South Conference. So very first competition within our conference, they added it to the cheer competition that they already had, which is very typical for cheer and dance to host both of those sports in the same day at the same facility. But it was the very first time for our conference. There was two other schools that we were against, University of Pikeville and then the University of Cumberland. So there was only three of us that year. Now last year, since it was the first competition that we had, they opened it up to any style of dance that we wanted to do. So we chose hip hop. We felt like hip hop was our biggest strength. I think University of Cumberland's maybe did jazz, and then Pikeville did palm. So honestly, there was three different styles of dance that were competed that day. We weren't really expecting to win, especially being a first-year program. I know University of Pikeville has had a team for many years, and they've had the same coach for many years, very established. And then University of Cumberland's, I'm not sure when they started. I know at least a year before we did. So honestly, we weren't really expecting it, but our girls throughout the season, they did tremendous. They worked very, very hard. So it was very rewarding to see that championship at the end of the season.
After winning a championship in your first year, you look to blossom.
We just have to continue to develop, continue to stay educated as coaches. With the dance world and the cheer world, it's constantly evolving. Things that teams are doing now, there's no way 10 years ago that these teams were doing the same skills. Tumbling skills, and even some of the stunts with the dance routines. You know, dance teams are starting to do stunts and lifts and tumbling in the midst of their routine. So we as coaches just have to continue to educate ourselves and provide the best possibility of them winning championships over and over again that we possibly can.
Gabehart is pulled in many directions. She coaches two different squads at the collegiate level.
The biggest challenge, I think, is balancing the practice schedule. The gym availability is pretty consistent, but basically at the beginning of the semester, I look at the availability that we have, and I basically try to split it 50-50 with my teams. And coaching both programs, sometimes if I need to share a facility, share a gym, I can, because there's different things that we can work on with each program, whether it's tumbling or stunting. Sometimes we don't need the entire facility, and then if my assistant's present, or I do have a graduate assistant, if she's present, then that's something else that we can kind of collaborate on so that they get the practices that they need.
From winning a Mid-South Conference title in 2007 and now coaching in 2020, the sport has changed in many ways.
The sport of cheer has really evolved throughout the years. I think having access to training facilities, there's more and more gyms, more all-star programs, more coaches, working with these kids who want to learn cheer, who want to tumble and stunt. So competition has definitely increased and evolved, especially over maybe the last 20 years when cheerleaders were doing thigh stands, and now it's really hard to even keep up with what we can actually do with stunts. Girls are going higher, their tumbling skills have greatly improved. As a coach, sometimes it's difficult to keep up with just the different techniques that has evolved over the years.
To future Tigers to come, just be ready. These two programs are something special.
Work really, really hard. Listen to your coaches. Be coachable. Work hard in the classroom. Academics, in my opinion, those always come first. follow your passion. Don't let anybody steal your passion from you, not teammates, not coaches. Continue working. And I hope that if you're a good athlete, good student, that you'll end up here at Campbell University with me, help me to continue to establish and develop the program that we have here.